A woman crouches in this meadow, making quick, fine strokes on a fresh page in her notebook. She gives you a small, careful smile. "Want to see what I'm working on?" she asks. She beckons you closer, and you see a flower half finished on the first page of her book. As you watch, though, she moves quickly to the next page and begins to draw the cluster of tangled stamens inside it with eerie, incredibly detailed accuracy. She speeds up. She flips to the next page and draws a minuscule bug nestled between the flower's delicate innards. Flip. Next page. Now she's drawn its eye. It blooms across the page in under 3 seconds, as real as anything. Too real. But before you can ask, flip. Next page. Now she's drawn some weird cluster of stringy filaments. Is this the surface of the bug's eye? But she's on to the next page, faster than ever. Fingers a blur as they spread a tangle of dots and lines. Your stomach somersaults. Flip. Next page. Dots and blurs woven together, incoherent, nothing you've ever seen before. You feel absolutely sick to your stomach. The woman's hand is invisible. Flip. Next page. A new tangle of dots and blurs, weird and familiar. You taste bile. Flip. Next page. A cloudy orb in a sea of black flops out of her pencil like as if by accident, and she's already turning to the next page, drawing a smear of gray. But flip. The gray smear parts. A continent. Flip. Terrain. Flip. A meadow with 2 dots in the middle, and flip. Your head. Her head. The flower. God. You cough and kneel hard in the dirt. You're back where you began. Sick as a dog. The artist takes your hands and hold them tight. Hers are stinging hot, like a truck hood after a long drive. "It always wraps back around," she whispers in your ear. "No matter how far I go, I'm always coming home." It's long past dawn, but the stray rooster crows repeatedly. Satisfied with its vocal performance, the bird rushes you, flapping. It backs up and repeats the gesture. The rooster is like a tiny feathered goat making a threat display. It struts. It eyes your legs. The rooster launches itself into the air, going for your eyes. As you step back, it returns to gouging your shins with its beak. Its crow now is more like a shriek. All right, I'm coming." An elderly man lumbers from the nearby house. "God, don't mind old Red. He's better than a guard dog, but harder to train." Red rushes at your feet. Sorry. I can hold him while you get past if you like." He smiles awkwardly. "Or you could come in, have a drink. Least I could do after he's been shouting at you." Red is positively indignant. Never heard such a noise from a bird that wasn't being slaughtered. But for all the complaining, he sits still in his owner's arms. The man beams. "Look, he's a big softy, really." The look the bird gives you is murderous. Following a sinking limestone cliff, you see the fossilized impressions of crustaceans clearly scattered across the stone. Long ago, this place must have been a shallow sea. Then something strange ahead catches your eye. Leaning against the stone is a figure draped in a black cloth, arms crossed, and with a bull's skull for a head. This ghoulish configuration is about 30 paces away from you, but as far as you can tell, hasn't registered your presence or even moved. You look down at your weathered bones, a curse only you can see. You decide it's best not to be judgmental. You tentatively announce yourself to the figure. "Hey!"
"Hey!"
It calls back, in a voice much kinder and softer than you were expecting.
You weren't even a little bit frightened, were you? I bet I look
The figure shuffles uncomfortably in its garb.
so stupid.
It sighs, reaching up to remove the skull. Behind the mask of bone is a shawl-wrapped young woman, mid-teens and tall for her age.
I ruined my dress with this dark dye, too. Mom's gonna whoop me bad, I bet. I keep destroying them, but does she stop making me wear them? No.
Turning the skull to face herself, she mimics what you assume is her family.
Act like a decent lady, Suze. Don't lose your head, Suze.
She pauses, adding quietly,
But it's what it feels like. You ever been so close to someone it was like they were a part of you? Losing them would be like losing an arm or head.
She punctuates her statement by waving the skull around.
How would you like it if someone ripped off your head?
She asks, hurling the skull as far as she can for emphasis.
Maddie?
The girl says, kicking at the dirt.
She's my best friend.
The girl pauses again. Tears are welling up in her bright eyes.
I love her. And she moved away with her family. Gone up north. I'll never see her again. What? No!
She balks.
I mean, what's the point?
You suggest that writing letters is a way to keep Maddie in her life. And at this point, there's not much to lose. The girl considers this for a moment and pulls out a pen and paper from her satchel. Over the next hour, she works on the letter, writing and rewriting, pausing frequently to regale you with another of Sue's and Maddie's adventures. Under the bridge, the haunted house, the Civil War bullet they found. Finally, she seems satisfied.
That'd be great.
She beams.
I better go back and get washed up for supper. Maybe hide this dress.
She hands you the letter and a few coins.
This is to say thank you. And also for postage.
A Chevrolet idles outside a dusty filling station. A man bends over the radiator, sweat beading on his face. Two girls in matching flower sack dresses sit beside the car. The man looks up as you approach. "Got a moment to help me fill the radiator?" "Sure do appreciate it," the man tells you. "It's a wonder we get anywhere, what with the goddamned radiator always breaking. Third town in a week. I keep looking for work, but haven't found anything." He shrugs. "Gotta be jobs somewhere, right?" He laughs and claps you on the back with one grease-streaked hand.
Of course there is. Not in the next town and the one after that.
There was nothing at home for my girls. I didn't want them growing up like that. The radiator's full.
Maybe I'll see you up the road a ways.
Folks wilt out of every car window, smoking cigarettes and jeering at the quiet crowd gathered outside the train. You spot the detectives by their shirts, buttoned so tight the fabric bites into their necks. Seems this ride's been stalled some time now. You pick up little pieces of separate conversations, breaking up the crowd into discrete individuals, porters, detectives, insurance agents, the bereaved. They form a shallow circle around a prone body in a failed effort to deter rubberneckers. The insurance agent tries to keep his voice down, impossible in his heated state of mind.
Couldn't you press a woman a little more? She's got something up her sleeve. They took out an insurance policy last week.
The gentle breeze sways the man on his horse. Poor fella must be having himself a saddle nap. Or he's just dead. Down here, stranger. You're sure the man's lips didn't move. His head lolls like an old branch ready to snap off the trunk. Hey, asshole! The horse's grotesque tongue slaps against the roof of its mouth, forming awful mockeries of human words. You got a problem with talking to horses? That's better. You got any food, stranger? Maybe a plump apple? Eating for two here. The horse sticks his wet nose all through your pockets, rooting for snacks. You notice now that the rider seems to sprout from the horse's flesh. His skin is papery, gilled, and covered in a scuzzy yellow residue. Lot of good you are, huh? The horse scoffs and heads in the other direction. His rider droops and knocks in the momentum, limp as a noodle. The graveyard's terrain is broken and warped, as though some great worm has rustled the earth beneath it. Graves jut out at odd angles from the rolling ground. From somewhere deep among the graves, a voice rings out. You can't make out the words. They're made of unfamiliar vowels and clipped sounds. A language you don't speak. The voice is clear and sonorous, feminine. It sounds like a chant or a summons. You finally see her at the top of a hillock, next to a fresh grave. Her straight figure makes her seem like an antique pillar, standing with her shoes in grave dirt, clad in an austere dress that seems too much like a suit of armor. Her eyes are blocked out by a dark velvet blindfold, and the cross before her is adorned with curious serpentine horns. Blindfolded, and deafened by her song, she doesn't notice as you approach, close enough to see the detail of her face. Younger than her dress suggests. When a gust of unnatural wind blows through the cemetery, she doesn't move. But something inside you. Her recitation comes to an end. A rustling surrounds you. Fireflies in the air, winking out and falling to the ground and moss. The grass turns brown beneath your feet. A bird impacts the ground near you like a missile. Something clenches inside you. It's as if your throat has blocked up, as if your lungs have lost the strength to hold air, as if your heart is forgetting how to pump. She kneels, dirtying her dress to plant one soft, longing kiss on the dirt covering the new grave. It's late. The restaurant is closing. You dust your bones and stand up from your bench when suddenly a crowd of rowdy, soot-washed miners barge through the front door. The leader of the pack, a coarse man with blackened brows, announces toward the bewildered chef, "Bring out your best dishes. Me and my boys deserve a feast after that biggin' tonight."
Sorry, we closed.
The Chinese chef whispers while raising chairs onto the tables. His answer does not satisfy the pack. Their leader sizes up the chef and steps forward. "We're honest men who don't want no trouble. We got the money, and I reckon you got the goods, so how about it? Bring out your best dishes. We'll eat and be on our way." The Chinese man stops you and whimpers.
Okay, I go make food.
The pack leader laughs heartily. "And don't bring us no cats and dogs or lizard pies, the stuff you eat wherever you're from. Bring us the good stuff." The Chinese man nods as he hurries back. You catch his placid eyes glancing at you as he goes. You answer his glance and follow him into his kitchen. The kitchen is almost too clean, with no ingredients left of any kind. He digs through the garbage bin next to the sink and grabs 2 heads of moldy garlic. He then begins feeding the fire while handing the bin to you.
Thank you.
He nods. The chef turns away from his station and collects your findings. He then glances at the garbage can, nods toward you. It seems like he wants more. "More?" the chef asks quietly, as he begins chopping the garbage you dug up.
Good,
the chef responds. He tosses the ingredients into the crackling wok along with handfuls of colorful spices. The fire soars. The smoke beckons. The shape of a man, no, a demon, emerges from the symphonic blaze inside the wok. It wears baggy robes and wields foreign scrolls. Long, dull horns grow sideways above its ears. With the heat, the cloves of peeled garlic falls from the counter. With one fell swoop, the Chinese summoner tosses the garlic into the wok and feeds the spirit what it's looking for. The blaze, now satisfied, bows and blesses the contents of the wok before taking its leave, simmering into the smog. I've never had anything like this before, the leader exclaims. He stands up and walks over. Mister, I'd like to apologize for my rudeness. This has got to be the best meal I've ever had. What's this called again? The chef grins confidently. Chop suey. Haven't had Oriental food before, but I'll be sure to remember it. He hands over some banknotes, more than enough for the meal. Thank you. Come on, boys. Let's hit the road. The miners disappear into the night, and the chef begins cleaning up once more. However, you cannot take your eyes off of the leftovers. He shakes his head. No, don't. You dare not desire the forbidden dish. Instead, you walk over to the bin and toss the garbage back from whence it came. Afterwards, you finish helping the chef with the chairs and take your leave.